The last gang war in Chicago.
If you're confused by the title, let me explain.
You know I'm off that thonky, I rolled it up in some grabber leaf. No, I'm off that thonky, I rolled it up in some grabber leaf. You ain't smoking no grabber leaf, you ain't smoking.
A gang war is a conflict in the streets between two or more gangs, and a gang was originally an alliance between multiple blocks that all represented the same gang. But in Chicago, that's just not the case anymore. Today, the teenagers warring in the streets are just small cliques of 5 to 10 guys going against other small groups of 5 to 10 guys. In one of his earliest songs, Exposing Me, King Von shows his age when he mentions a peace treaty, but he also gives you some insight into how some things have changed. In the song, he essentially implies that he doesn't believe in peace treaties because he himself saw the last one fail. Now, I remember being a kid back in 2011 and logging into Facebook to see people posting pictures of a guy named Dthang. He had just been murdered, and it was a mix of people saying rest in peace and others disrespecting him. But the thing about his murder is that it happened during a peace treaty.
My brother Dthang got killed in that peace treaty.
When that peace treaty came down, Dthang was Dthang. Like, he was 3 times.
He was a founding member of the group 600.
They said he was 3 times, like he had 3 bodies. 3 marks.
Stop it. Get some help.
Which became part of the O Block 600 Alliance, made famous by his members such as Chief Keef before he moved to California, King Von, 600 Breezy, L.A. Capone, and Tay Capone, who was then known as Tay 600. Lil Durk is not from either of these blocks, despite what people on the internet claim. He's actually from Inglewood, which is on the other side of the expressway, but they were all clicked up. And an alliance like this was the only reason a peace treaty could ever happen. You had multiple hoods, from Lamron to 600, together in an alliance that stretched nearly 2 miles across the south side of the city. Something that, if it happened today in Chicago, would be very short-lived, since clicking up with another hood only creates more enemies.
You know, nowadays you click over another hood, nigga steal your gun. Oh, bro, motherfucker steal your watch, rob you for your chain. You know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, let me see that chain real quick, bro. I can see that bit. Yeah, you can see it real quick. Hey, this bit hard. They take off running on your stupid ass. You like, damn, I thought we was cool. No, close that back door. You can't get snaked out by yo. Yeah.
It's because there is no trust, there is no goal, no objective. Whereas back in the early to mid 2010s, the teenagers in gangs had at least something to mimic. The days when street gangs resembled the mob with structure, money-making operations, and foot soldiers were gone, but back then, in the late 2000s and early 2010s, the kids were still growing up on stories about the past. The goal back then was to generate money and become a force that couldn't be victimized by another gang. But it was flawed. The days of dope boys and big money drug operations were just not a thing in my generation. Scamming was getting advanced, and the young guys just didn't care about selling drugs in Chicago. So that part was left to the older guys who were around in the 90s. And
that's why it was easy for me. No, for real though. I ain't gonna act like I was, you know what I'm saying? But I used to run up for a nigga that a nigga that was probably like a freshman. 14 going on 15 going into my freshman year, and like an average month would be like 2, 3, 4,000. I'll make profit. That was good though. I'll spend all of it as fast as I get it on stupid shit, but it was good though. Like I always had bread in my pocket type shit.
Had connections to the cartel, but notably, the older guys started to distance themselves from the younger generation. They were trying to become kingpins, but since the structure of their time was gone, they couldn't force the teenagers to sell drugs for them and bring back the profit like what had been done to them in their youth. If you gave a bag to a kid in my generation and expected him to be a servant who was just going to stand on the corner and make you rich, you'd be in for a big surprise. But one thing the younger generation held on to back then were the gangs. The GDs, BDs, Stones, Vice Lords, Latin Kings, SDs, 4CH, and so on. And with these big alliances still in place, and the kids not selling drugs, they started to get in conflict with one another. And it wasn't about a block or a hood. It would usually start as a personal dispute that would lead to a gang war because everybody was together. But once the shooting and killing started to get out of hand, the older guys made the last move they ever had to influence the youth. And that's when they helped usher in a peace treaty. There were multiple hoods, but to simplify, it was a few BD hoods and a few GD hoods going at it. And for a very, very short time,
the guys stepped up and did the peace. See, I don't know. This is a little before me. He said Dthang, when Dthang died and shit, that was 2011. I was still in fucking 2011. I was 6th grade going into 7th grade. I went into 7th grade at the end of 2011. You know what I'm saying? So depending on what he talking about, I'm a little bit young. I'm like a generation, like just a one little generation under them type shit. But I don't know nothing about the peace treaty. That's basically what I'm saying. Like, I don't know really shit about it for real.
The treaty was respected, but one guy made a move that had a huge cause and effect that lasted for over a decade.
Like, killed my little brother, I'm over there chilling with them. And I ain't gonna say I was comfortable. I was nervous than them. We done did so much, so it's like, okay, they calling it's a peace treaty now, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, is it?
Dthang from 600 was known to be a bully. Even before Reddit and Traplo Ross videos, it was known that he would just pull up to certain hoods and start shooting. So when the peace treaty was in effect, a guy named Dome from Jaro City, one of the hoods that Dthang would shoot at, would catch Dthang around Washington Park. And it should have been fine. But maybe it was because he felt like the peace treaty wouldn't last forever, and right here in front of him was a very dangerous guy. So he killed him. And thus, the peace treaty ended, dishonorably. Now, exactly why he did this...
Dthang, Dthang one of the ones that, like, started 600. So that's what really pushed the shit. Like, when niggas be saying, like, them not our ops, that's what they mean. Like, you ain't the one that killed Dthang. These niggas from Jaro did. That's why 63rd and 600, 63rd and O Block, that's why that shit was so heavy. You know what I'm saying? Then T-Roy, you know what I'm saying? T-Roy was another one that just sparked even more bodies to get, you know what I'm saying? And it was niggas on 63rd side too. It was big names. You know what I'm saying? That was sparking shit and making shit go crazy. But this shit really lasted. Like, this is history about shit that I started experiencing when I got to high school. Like, but the war was already like full-fledged. Like, you know what I'm saying?
But no, Dome was caught not long after this and sent to prison, and he was supposed to get out in 2021, but that never happened because he died in prison under mysterious circumstances.
Damn.
But this event, along with the word gang already losing its meaning in Chicago, sent parts of the city to where they are today. Now, the story of this war has been told 1,000 times on the internet, so the only new angle I can really give you is my personal experience maneuvering around the South Side while all of this was going on, when guys like Vaughn, Scrap, and many more people who are no longer here were actively running wild. Because the street politics in the city are so different that in O Block, at one time, there was a no GD policy, and saying something like BDK was disrespectful to the entire alliance of O Block 600, Lamron, and Front Street. And that's because for the most part, everybody was BD. But today...
You ever had one of them days where everything seems to go wrong? I mean, you're just trying to grab a cup of coffee and BAM! You're tangled in a pile of boxes because the shelf is broken. And just like that, I realized sometimes accidents at work are more than just funny stories. They can actually change everything. Trying to handle a workplace injury on your own, it's like trying to fix the broken shelf yourself. More chaos, more headaches, and it's no guarantee that you'll get what you deserve. You got paperwork, insurance calls, and someone always telling you to wait. It's enough to make you wish you had a secret weapon. But here's the thing, there's a team of people that fights for people just like you. For over 35 years, Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, has been winning cases when everybody else said it couldn't be done. In Florida, someone got $12 million after a work accident, even though the insurance was ready to offer just $350,000. In Pennsylvania, a worker was awarded $26 million, which was 40 times the initial offer. These are not just numbers. They're real victories for real people, all thanks to the team that fights hard for justice. More than 1,000 attorneys across all 50 states, like a legal squad ready to jump into action. Yeah. They've recovered over $25 billion for clients. And they have a long history of helping workers get what they're owed. Because when you're injured at work, you shouldn't have to go at it alone. You can just click the link below or the QR code that's on your screen. No endless waits or confusing forms. Just a quick way to start protecting your rights today. So if you had an accident on the job, do not risk doing it alone. You can check out Morgan & Morgan. Because even in the toughest workplace accidents, a strong team makes all the difference. And trust me, there's a reason why they're America's largest injury law firm. It's because they fight for the people just like you.
Hey, you got guys walking around O Block with the chains King Von bought, cracking the trays, which is disrespectful to the BDs. Something that wouldn't have happened 10 years ago.
That's crazy.
Now, this is not to say that every hood was just one gang, as somebody like FYBJ Maine, who now pushes for peace in Chicago, was allied with the GDs despite the fact that, like most of his family, he was a BD. But I remember it like yesterday. Not long after I saw everyone saying rest in peace to Dthang, every block from 51st to 69th became significantly more dangerous. I had heard about peace treaties in the years leading up.
Telling you, nigga. 51st to 69th. He ain't not playing from Young Money to JoJo World. No cap. Damn, basically what he just said. From Young Money all the way to damn Wooga World damn over there. You feel me? It was cracking, nigga. You feel me? Like real deal, gang. And I lived on 53rd. You feel me? My grandma lived on 47th. 45th, rather. Shit. Right outside of that shit where it was a whole nother war. Like, going to parties around this time was just different, bro. Like, this was a scary time, and it's not cool at all. I'm so happy. Like, Chicago is really better. Like, niggas want to say what they want to say, gang. It's worse in some ways, but it's better in other ways too, bro. Because surviving high school was a full-time job, nigga. Like, going to parties, what gas station to go to, what's going on over here. Make sure if you see this person, get the hell on, because you know somebody going to shoot at him. Don't go this way home. Go the other way. The police hot right now. It's this person just died. That person just died. My homie just got shot, hit. Like, it was a lot of shit going on, bro. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that I even got out of that shit is a miracle. But this, like, and by the time I was in high school, it was full-fledged war. Like, it was cracking. Like, it wasn't no nothing.
To 2011, but I would have still been in elementary school in 08, 09, and 2010, but I did remember when 600 was founded because the area I grew up in was full of people that had family members in 600. And with that came another alliance that was split. Once the peace treaty was broken, the alliance on the side of King Von and Lil Durk suddenly became very aggressive toward anybody that claimed GD.
Oh, Jaja, where the fuck is Shorty them at? Oh, he got a bump on.
He said, oh,
I wouldn't necessarily say this happened with the Hispanic gangs, and the white gangs already experienced a similar split years before that basically destroyed them. And just in case I'm not putting in the scale just how big the alliances used to be, the summer in Chicago has always been the deadliest time of year for people in the streets because it's hot, and since most gang members were and still are teenagers, that means that the guys that hate each other are all out of school, and some of the older guys have nothing to do since they just graduated. But the summer of 2025 recorded the lowest number of homicides in Chicago since the summer of
1965. The lowest murder since 65. That's what I mean. Like, it's getting a lot better. Yeah. The summer of 97. Look. The summer of 74 had 244 homicides. 970 for the year. The summer of 21. I was already gone at this time. They had 274 homicides. Summer of 16, I was probably just grad. Yeah, I just left my junior year. And it had 242 homicides just that summer. That's fucking crazy, bro. This summer was only 123. That's half, bro. That's half, bro. 278 from January to August, which is still a lot, but Chicago a big city though, so as long as it's getting better, like that's all.
1965. When watching the news or listening to politicians outside of the city, Chicago can seem just as deadly as ever. And I know I've given Chicago politicians a hard time for being literally the most corrupt local government outside of New York State, but this is not just me reading statistics. I actually saw this happen. I watched the streets become safer. Simply put, the groups at war right now are far too small with too few alliances to ever engage in a decade-long war like the one that put drill on the world stage, where the careers of people like DJ Academics took off for covering the insane conflicts that nearly wiped out entire graduating classes. The alliances were so big that there was family on both sides. As one of the most well-known guys from 600, Mimo, said recently in an interview that his cousin, who was on the other side of the war, killed one of his friends. And just 5 months later, 2 of Mimo's friends killed one of his other cousins. If my cousin's friends want to kill me, well, He's my cousin. He knows all my secrets and where I can most likely be found in the city if someone was looking for me. And you might ask, well, how could you go against your own family for a gang? Well, that's not really what it was. Let's say my cousin and I go to different high schools. We see each other sometimes, but not every day since we live in different neighborhoods. Over the summer, a good friend of mine gets into a fight with a good friend of my cousin's, or one of them steals from the other, or anything that crosses a line. Maybe my cousin's friend ends the fight with a threat.
This is a real scenario. I hope everybody understand. This is not no cap. This the real rap.
Says the next time I see you, I'ma kill you. But my friend doesn't let it go past this, so he pulls out his gun and kills him on the spot. He threatened him after all, a big threat. If someone in Chicago tells you this from any background, you should probably take it serious. But my cousin's friends don't care who was justified and who wasn't. They decide that my friend has to pay the price for this in blood. And maybe one of the guys that witnessed it was the brother of the victim. What sway then would your cousin hold over the next thing that happens? None, which is just as much sway I would have if these guys caught me and my friend. Now, it doesn't matter if I keep being friends.
Like even this, bro,
What sway then
bro.
would your cousin?
It was a point in time where like no matter what main street you went on, this how the rack looked, bro. Like middle school, early high school days, bro. Rack was busting. It's fights everywhere. It's 30,000 niggas just walking around, just standing there. Police everywhere. Fights, shootouts.
Hold over the next thing that happens. None, which is just as much sway I would have if these guys caught me and my friend. Now, it doesn't matter if I keep being friends with this guy or not. The people that want to kill him might still think that we're friends, so I could very well become a target. And mind you, all of this is happening while we're still in high school, because from the time Chief Keef dropped his first song to when he left Chicago, King Von got locked up, and the death of L.A. Capone and the arrest of C-Day and Rondo, it would have only been from his freshman to his senior year, as King Von, who was only a year older than Keef, would have only been 19 at the beginning of 2014, which was 3 whole years after the end of the peace treaty. Obviously, most people on the South Side don't gangbang, but the families that do would have suddenly had less stories of gangs being some big organized alliance. And those stories would have been replaced with stories of how renegades of gangs being some big organized alliance.
I'm pretty sure, this Kenwood. This the high school I went to, y'all.
And those stories would have been replaced with stories of how renegade the streets have become, and how there was no point to even be in the streets anymore. Also, in an older video, I mentioned the database used by the Chicago police that ranks how likely it is for certain people to either be a victim or the perpetrator of gun violence. And even though it's discontinued, I did manage to find some footage of it. It may look bad from the outside, but I guarantee, in 10 years, class reunions on the South Side will be bigger than they have been in 15 years.
No cap.
But thank you guys for watching this.
No cap. It really, even though it don't look as like it, because you got Q50 and Lil Jeff and all these people, but it's a lot better, bro. You know what I'm saying? It seemed like a lot. I ain't been to the city in a long time, but it's a lot better, it seemed like, than it was, like, just maybe like 10 years ago.